Now that's good history.
Today we're going over, on his birthday, January 30th, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. It's also my wife's birthday, so I had to give her a shout out. Happy birthday, wife. Happy wife, happy life. There's a fact that you guys all should know. Now we're going to go over the common things that you all know about Franklin Delano Roosevelt. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Today is a day that will live in infamy. Also, you know him in the Great Depression. You know his New Deal. We all know about him overcoming polio and barely having to walk and going in a wheelchair. But if you guys want to know a little bit more about FDR, you want to get a little deeper and get a little bit more knowledgeable, grab a beer, pull up a bar stool, and let's go over FDR. You ready, Frank? I hope your accommodations suffice. Let's roll. Born in his family estate in Hyde Park, New York, he was a New Yorker, and that's where the politics took him. He was a member of the New York Senate. He ended up becoming Assistant Secretary of the Navy. He was ended up Governor of New York, and then, as we all know, 32nd President of the United States. His fireside chats helped the people on a social level. Herbert Hoover, by his experts and his closest men to him, was told not to do anything. The economy will fix itself. Anything you do will only hurt it for later generations. So he was more of a hands-off president. It's going to fix itself. It's going to fix itself. People considered him ignoring them for this. FDR, even when he did not know what to do, he came on an hour every night saying, hey, here's my plan. Here's what's going on. Here's what's going on in the world. Here's what's going on today. Here's this. Here's that. So it made it feel like he cared. And even when he didn't know, even though he didn't know what he was doing, he still came on and gave the people at least a shoulder to cry on. The Social Security Act. The reason why we're going to get that big check when we retire? This guy. Thank you very much, Mr. President. He was the first president to hire a woman as part of his cabinet. What? Women can do things now? Thank this guy. FDR also repealed the 25th Amendment. You all should know this one. The 25th Amendment was established prohibition, where you could not buy alcohol. This man brought it back. So that man needs a toast, even just for that. There's a reason why feds are beating down my door right now for my drinking my beer. This guy. Other presidents affected by FDR, like McKinley and Garfield, he was almost assassinated. Now this time, we were a little bit more prepared. We actually had a Secret Service to help protect him. But he just got elected. He's in. He hasn't done a speech yet, so he's not officially the president yet, but he's in. He's going through the line, shaking hands. He just won. He's on cloud nine. Man pulls a pistol. It's a very cheap revolver. Hit 5 people, wounding, not killing anybody, but missed the president entirely. They interviewed the man afterward. Why are you doing this? He said he actually liked Roosevelt. He thought he was a good man, but he was against the presidency because he thought it was domineering over the working class. And he had just lost his job. It's the Great Depression. There you go. He won 4 elections during his presidency. Now, how is that possible? We know you can only go run for 2 terms. This law was established during Eisenhower's term, so he could go as many times as he wanted. He defeated the Great Depression. We're in the middle of a war. We're not changing presidents in the middle of the war, especially when he's doing such a good job. So basically, the guy who he had to face basically like, I'm going to lose this. I have no chance in hell of winning this election. But during his 4 elections, he never carried the states of Vermont and Maine. I don't know what he did in Vermont and Maine. I don't know what they had against him, but for 4 times, Vermont and Maine like, nope, we ain't having it. We ain't having it. So, Vermont and Maine, I don't know what your beef was, but apparently it was wrong. He was 5th cousin of Theodore Roosevelt, the Rough Rider, 26th President of the United States. Now that is where their comparisons will end. They are totally opposite all other facets of their life. Republican Democrats, demeanor, views. Even Theodore Roosevelt himself said he didn't think FDR would be a good president. Not really good to say when your relative's running. FDR was an avid collector of stamps. He also was an avid bird watcher. He actually had collected and mounted 300 different species of birds as Hyde Park residents. He also established a polio rehab center. It is still there today. It now has his name on it. And now the fact that polio, we have a vaccine, there's not too many polio cases anymore. They are working as rehabbing other disabilities to order to get them back to health and get them into the workforce. Well, he needed entertainment too. Not only with his stamp collecting, not only with his birds, but he also is a big fan of movies. So he installed a movie theater that is still there today in the White House. Eisenhower, 2 presidents after him, actually was recorded watched over 200 westerns in this movie theater. It was baseball during World War II was about to be canceled. They were about to cancel the season. They lost many players going overseas. Bob Feller and a couple other high-name ball players. So they thought baseball was going to take too many resources and take too much money and time, and maybe this is not the time to do a baseball season. FDR, a man who said, no, the American people need entertainment, and this is an American pastime. So he himself penned a letter to the commissioner saying, no, we need baseball. America needs baseball. Like COVID-19 today, and we wanted our football, even with shortened seasons, even with all canceled games and reissuing games, all this, he's like, no, American people need entertainment. Sadly, all good things must come to an end, and that happened in 1945. Many experts say he probably should not have run for that last election. A lot of wear and tear on him. Sure, polio didn't help. But his last main event was the Yalta Conference. He went over there with the big three, Churchill from England, Joseph Stalin from the Soviet Union, and they were going to decide how we were going to divide up Germany. And many say he looked frail, he looked old, he didn't look himself. And apparently, after a week of arguing with them, he finally came back home. He retired to the little White House, he called it, in Warm Springs, Georgia. That was his presidential retreat, his home away from the White House, in order to get his sorts back in, to get back into the grind. Sadly, on April 12, 1945, sitting for a portrait, he said, I have a headache. Seconds later, he collapsed in the chair. He had a massive hemorrhage in his brain, and he died later that afternoon. Finishing the career of, in my opinion, at least top 10, some would argue maybe even top 5 best presidents we've ever had. What can I say more about FDR that has not already been said in the last 10 minutes, or in books, movies, newspapers, the History Channel? All of us have heard stories, whether they were true, false, about FDR, and many of them are positive. So what can I say? What I can say is there was a man here that speaks for himself. He was a man in a wheelchair of polio, but he didn't let it get him down. He kept fighting. He got us through the Great Depression. He got us through World War II. He is an icon in the U.S. and world history. So, Frank, what more can I say? We will never forget you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Now that's good history.